Welcome everyone to this featured team matchmaking game. I'm Panda here with Game Zone versus Not Late. On the Radiant side we have Game Zone running a Lich, Beastmaster, Weaver, Abaddon, and Tinker, going for a very interesting kind of split push roam around the map style team. On the Dire side it's Not Late with what looks to be a Viper in the tri lane, along with the Rubic and Lion Timbersaw in the off lane, and Storm Spirit taking up the mid. Should be a really interesting match to see how well Tinker fares up against Storm Spirit. Tinker generally does fairly well in the matchup, as he gets to farm fairly freely. He has similar base damage to Storm Spirit and similar attack animations, so it's going to be fairly even unless ganks change it, which I fully expect ganks to come in on both characters. With the exception of, I don't think we're going to see a gank on Storm Spirit. There's just not a good ganking lineup for Gaming Zone. Abaddon doesn't have any great early game ganking tools other than just the harass. Lich has a slow but not particularly effective. And there are no other reliable stuns until Beastmaster hits level 6. And there's no way Beastmaster hits level 6 before Storm Spirit's level 6. Timbersaw has picked up the double damage rune, which should be pretty useful in these first few levels, just getting a little bit of extra harass if it is needed, and possibly picking up a little bit of CS. We have a quick pause so we can get a little bit more time in with each of the matchups. Good move here by the Lion. Likely going to be placing out an early ward, possibly even doing a small bit of jungling. You can jungle Lion fairly effectively if you level up his stun, killing off some of the camps, just harass them with a stun, auto attack them as they get into max range. Good thing it's a quick pause. I hate when these games have those really annoying long pauses throughout the early game. Beastmaster actually going to lane. We haven't seen him very often, but against this lane up top there's not a whole lot of kill potential for the first few levels. He'll likely be able to pick up level 2 or 3 before he has to start running and doing something like Ancients. He did place a very good ward right there in the middle. He'll see the Lion rotation. He's picked up level 2. Exactly what you want to see out of your Beastmaster. Get that early level 2. Just kind of play it safe. Don't really try to get any CS. Be safe. Pick up what you can. Get the experience. In the mid lane, Tinker doing a very good job of pushing the Storm Spirit back, and it makes it very hard to last hit when Tinker has the threat of just launching a march of machines on top of your tower and really harassing you out. Timbersaw going to take a good bit of damage in the bottom lane, but he's under no threat or any danger at all. Beastmaster might get caught out, but he does have that good ward, making sure that Lion doesn't get on him with the Earth Spike. Lion's going to pull and make sure that he gets as much experience as he can. He really needs to hit level 3 quickly. The second point Earth Spike is just incredibly good. In addition to that, the polymorph is amazing as well. Timbersaw going to be doing the smart thing, just pulling creep camps away. That was the camp that got pulled right there. Just as an excellent way to pick up some extra experience and gold. Beastmaster in a lot of trouble, but they do not actually see him. It's just a Sentry Ward. They thought they were going up against Weaver in the top lane, which was a strong possibility, but not something we're likely to see, especially considering it's a Beastmaster who's really going to take this off lane and has done a good job overall. He's almost level 3, slightly ahead of Timbersaw, and doing a lot of damage to Rubic. Rubic's in a lot of trouble. If Beastmaster level 3, he could have taken that with his axes, but just a little bit off. Storm Spirit in great shape as Timbersaw secures the regeneration rune. He's about even in CS with the Tinkerer, but he's not in any real threat of dying. So it's exactly what you want to see out of your Storm Spirit. Weaver's being the good one this game, picking up as much CS as he can at 13-0 at the moment, and making sure that Timbersaw can't do a whole lot. There's no chance that Timbersaw gets ganked, as Abaddon just doesn't have any ganking potential, nor does the Lich. And Beastmaster still surviving this top lane. Viper likely to pick up that early mech because he's already picked up most of the components. As I believe Not Late Gaming is going to go for a very mid-game centric push. I expect them to try and get these towers as soon as that mech is finished. Their lineup is incredibly good. throughout the mid game. They don't scale amazingly well. Viper's okay scaling. Timbersaw and Storm Spirit both pretty good, but not amazing. And Weaver is going to be the big X factor late game. If he gets off to a good start, and so far he has, he should be able to really dominate the late game. Same thing with Tinkerer, as he can just stall and push around the map. Though Tinkerer is very vulnerable to the storm ganks throughout the mid game. Looks like Game Zone is going to be in a lot of trouble. Lion and Rubic going to rotate in as Tinkerer decided to kill some Ancients. And this should be a very easy first blood. There's the Hex and the Earth Spike. Perfectly played. They did get fairly lucky kind of spotting him out, but Tinkerer was in a bad position. He was right there. Smoke popped right as they went around that corner, so they realized someone was likely up on top of the hill. So they rotated up, found him, and picked up an easy kill. If you're going to pull the Ancients like that, as painful as it is, you have to go down bottom so that people rotating in don't get their smokes popped, don't kind of figure out where you are, kind of by process of elimination. Bottom lane, Timbersaw's in a lot of trouble and will get picked up by the Lich, underestimating that damage he could put out. And he's only level 4, picking that up just as he died. So it's an even 1-to-1 across the map. But definitely a much bigger win getting the first blood on the supports, giving them a lot of extra experience. Beastmaster has still done an amazing job of staying alive. He's picked up a good bit of levels. He's almost level 5. I really expect Beastmaster to follow around the Tinker in the mid to late game stages of this game, if it gets that far, and just wait for Storm Spirit to initiate in and burst him down. He's the perfect hero to do that. Roar has an amazing initiation range. He can sit very far back. He can spot Storm Spirit zipping in, so he's ready right away with a click. And Roar is pretty much instant. It has a slight cast delay, but unless you're really, really on the ball, you just can't pick it up particularly easily. Timbersaw might be in a bit more trouble as he's harassed down. Storm Spirit sits waiting to use that invisibility rune, and that's a perfect time. Tinker going to go stack the Ancients. Storm Spirit going to harass him down and likely pick up a kill if he can do it just right. And he is winning it away. Good pull in. Tinker takes a ton of damage and likely to go down. Excellent Storm Spirit play, and does not let the Ancient steal the kill. Up in the top, Beastmaster in a lot of trouble. Earth Spike going to be used at max range, but I'm not sure it's enough. Auto attacks fly, and he does live. 46 HP. Very lucky. Looks like Viper just didn't get a good slow on him at the beginning, and it was just the 2 supports. As Lion's only level 2, and that's really a bad thing because he needs that level in Earth Spike, and he needs the mana drain in order to sustain himself. Though Rubic did pick up a kill earlier and has picked up the mana boots, so he should be not in too bad a shape. If he did, those mana boots weren't up, Lion would be in desperate need of some farm, as you really need to pick up the mana drain and the extra levels in the Earth Spike. Storm Spirit's going to rotate up and not find the Tinkerer, but that's a very early mech completed at 7 minutes. Really going to be an early push from Not Late, as they live up to their namesake, not wanting this game to go very late. Weaver still winning the CS battle, as he is sitting at 36-1, and in an amazing shape to go into a mid-game. Highest net worth in the game by pretty far. Storm Spirit picks up the Lich, who is going to go pull and rotate around. Just got instantly burst down as everyone was there. He had no chance to survive that. Viper foregoing boots even to pick up that mech, which I don't mind, as he doesn't need to be super mobile in these fights. He just needs the ability to land the ultimate and just continue auto attacking, as his slows are strong enough to do what he needs to do, and really doesn't need the boots to catch up to anyone, considering how powerful his slows are. Beastmaster has hit level 6 and just kind of waiting in the wings. Love this pickup by Weaver and go with the Midas. It's not traditional for him to go Midas. Generally you see them rush the Lincoln Sphere, but I don't think he's going to be in too much trouble after this gank down bottom. He has the Abaddon to protect him from any real problems. He's almost level 7, but he has actually maxed the Swarm, and Viper Finds a kill on the Beastmaster up top, as he was just way out of position. If you're all the way up there, there's no chance you're going to be able to live. Especially considering your Beastmaster without any mobility items. Still waiting for this gank to approach the bottom lane, but it is going to be spotted out thanks to his Berserker Ward on the hill. We were actually maxing the bugs, which I don't mind in this situation. It's a great way to chunk Timbersaw down and gain additional vision. Sakuchi hasn't been super important, as they have not pressured him at all, and they have very good support on him. So whenever he does get hit, he'll be shielded up, healed up, and be in an incredibly good position to just run away with that single Sakuchi. Tinkerer trying to kill off the Ancient, and has done a very good job of doing so. It's a great comeback mechanic for a lot of heroes. Weaver in a lot of trouble, really needing to pick up some health regeneration. And it looks like Beastmaster might be in a bit of trouble as they do spot him out, but there's a lot of support. And Lion going to be going down here, as those rockets do a ton of damage. He lives with 17 HP. Beastmaster should be able to land some axes, and there we go, kill on the Lion. But they are not able to rotate in. Weaver goes down in the bottom lane, as both Timbersaw and Storm Spirit jump right on top of him. And he had no way to survive. With only Abaddon there, he can't do a whole lot. He can survive one character, possibly two, but not the Storm Spirit and Timbersaw. Any two others, and they might have had a hard time killing him. But those two are the most powerful characters on the Dire side at the moment. Weaver going to come in and take a whole lot of damage right off the bat. Can't use time lapse to reverse it, as it would have sent him right back to base. And that would have been incredibly bad. Still likely to be picking up the Lincoln Sphere next. Timbersaw going to be picking up what looks to be a Bloodstone next. He doesn't have any of the components for it, but that's what every Timbersaw nowadays rushes. You either go mech or you go Bloodstone, and Bloodstone would be the much better item in this situation. We're going to be rotating around, still trying to find some additional experience in gold. He's only level 5 at this point. Lion is level 4, so they've recovered decently well. But with Lich level 6, Abaddon almost level 6 as well. Those supports on the side of not late are definitely going to be a liability if they don't pick up levels anytime soon. March going to come across the mid lane, stopping it. This little bit of a push, as they're still looking to pick up the top lane. Storm's going to actually jump in on the Tinker. Takes a good bit of damage, and I don't think Tinker's going to get out of the slide, but Storm Spirit actually misses the attack. But will go down. Chain Frost flies, and it takes a huge chunk of Rubik's health. Lion in the area and should be able to save the Storm Spirit. 1-for-1 trade, but not a very good one, as you don't want to keep having your Tinkerer die. He's getting close, as Beastmaster actually picks up a kill in the bottom lane, as they just brought in the Roar and full damage onto the Timbersaw. Excellent play, as Gaming Zone has done a good job of rotating around and picking up kills the last few minutes. Timbersaw does buy back and is going to teleport right to the bottom lane. This is going to be a huge engagement. Not Late's really going to try and get on Weaver, and I think they're just going to have to sacrifice the Abaddon, as he's not particularly quick. But they are not going to be able to do that. Weaver going to be running around. He does not have enough for time lapse. And Viper does get the deny on the tower. They don't actually pursue out the Weaver. He doesn't have a teleport scroll. He doesn't have time lapse. He's just kind of got to wait around for a little bit. And with no kills picked up after that buyback, that's a huge win on the side of Gamer Zone. They do lose the tower deny, but I think they'll be okay with that considering they got out of there without taking any deaths. Quick look at the gold earned, as we're going to see a big push in the middle lane. Pretty much even on both sides, same with experience, less than 1,000 in either direction. Thanks to the fact Weaver's gotten some great farm in this middle lane, and Storm Spirit's done an excellent job of rotating around, putting pressure everywhere. And he should have his Orchid up in a fairly reasonable time, as he's getting going on that first Oblivion staff. Tinker going to be dead in just a moment if they spot him out, and they do. He is hexed up. Storm Spirit jumps in a little far, but it should be just fine as Tinkerer gets exploded. No way to survive that, as Tinkerer just in the wrong place. Every time he's gone to the jungle, Not Late has done an excellent job of just rotating around and really crushing him. Beastmaster in a lot of trouble as he tries to jump away. He does not have much help. He does have the Abaddon shield. And Abaddon likely to rush in and try and sacrifice himself. Does a very good job of just soaking damage. Timbersaw is hit with a roar, but not who you really want to roar. Storm Spirit jumps in there, gets a good pull in on the Lich. Lich going to be in a lot of trouble. 3 seconds on the ultimate. Really needs to get that off and does not. But Timbersaw in a lot of trouble and will be picked off in the back end by Tinker. And that haste rune really paying off. Getting a good march. As not late game has really lost out on that engagement. Losing 2 supports and their offlaner for just the offlaner and a single support. Tinker with that haste rune cleaning up exactly when he needed to. And that was a very good engagement for Gamerzone. It looked bad at the beginning, not getting a Chain Frost off, only getting a roar on to the Timbersaw. You really have to save the roar for someone like Storm Spirit, but it did work out in this case. As Gamezone is making a bit of a comeback. They were down a bit early, but it's still anyone's games. Both these teams are fairly close. And after that engagement, even closer, as gold and experience still under the 1,000 mark, not really going above or below 1,000 throughout the entire game. And this is exactly what you want to see if you're Gamerzone. I feel they can take this a lot later with the Tinker and the Weaver. Both of them should be able to outcarry the Viper, Storm Spirit, and Timbersaw. But it's going to be a very hard mid-game for Gamerzone, as Not Late has an amazing mid-game lineup. And with the ability to steal something like Roar, has Rubic no chance to survive. Wrong side of town there, buddy. And that was just a beautiful play, thanks to this ward right up here. One of the most standard wards in the game. Lion almost caught out, but Roar had already been spent. So he did not get picked up. Bottom lane, Weaver in a lot of trouble. He takes a lot of harassment from the Timbersaw. Nice use of time lapse to get right behind the tower. Viper is in the area, but I don't think they want to dive this Weaver without the support of the rest of the team, which is on the way, as both Lion and Storm Spirit are covered in smoke. Weaver's still sitting down here. Surprised he has not left. He has to know that more than just Timbersaw and Viper here. You don't see anyone on the map. Here comes the teleport in from Lich. Really needs to get that armor up quickly onto Weaver. As we have an engagement in the jungle. Abaddon in a lot of trouble, but he does get the ultimate off. And does do a good bit of damage. Able to pick off the Lion. That Chain Frost doing so much damage. Storm Spirit in a lot of trouble. Going to have to zip away real soon. And there he does. Viper gets a good bit of damage on Abaddon. Abaddon should go down. And Timbersaw picks up the kill. Weaver was picked off in the bottom lane as well. And then nice use of mech, which means Tinker is going to go down, not picking up the Storm Spirit. Excellently played, but there's the Lich picking up the kill. Though he might be trading his life for it. Beastmaster going to be running as well. Question is, will Beastmaster get away? It looks like he will. Same thing with the Lich. Frost armor way too strong at this point. Almost up to the mech, as he should have that in just a moment. Rubic in a bit of trouble. He gets roared and picked off. Excellent play. Though he will sacrifice 2 for that. Weaver going to come in. Don't think Viper's going to be able to get out of here. But he is not. Very close to doing so. But Weaver with that Geminate attack just a little too strong. Timbersaw getting that armor eaten up. And I think they're going to try and pursue it out. Weaver with the shield. And he will be going for the Lion. Nice stun. Keeps him at bay. And there's the Chakram. Making sure Abaddon cannot follow. But he should be able to pick up Lion. He does throw out the ult. But Abaddon's shield picks it up. Can't throw that ult out that close. As Storm Spirit tries to jump in onto Tinker. Tinker just running around like mad. And there is the shield and the heal. So Storm Spirit in a lot of trouble. Popped a little too much mana trying to get that kill. If he got the initial pull in, he might have picked it up. But this brings us back to even on kills and a very close score overall. And I do believe this will be the first tower of the game, as Not Late game just overextended a little too much after a very favorable engagement. The fortification is up. Timbersaw does do a good bit of damage. Rubic with a pickup and throw back, but no chance to really engage without the Storm Spirit or Viper, who are both on their way. Storm Spirit going to be able to teleport back in about 10 seconds. Weaver takes a lot of damage, doesn't have time lapse up just yet. And Viper with the deny throughout all those minions. Beastmaster's found the double damage rune up top, and he's going to be rotating back in the middle. Timbersaw going to have to go back to base. He's just incredibly low. And it's going to be a blade mail first for Timbersaw. Not a terrible item at all. Axe is going to come out from Beastmaster, but no chance to pick up a kill, as he's just done an excellent job this game getting roars off. Lich in a lot of trouble. Don't think there's anything he can do, but there's the Beastmaster roar, and Beastmaster in a lot of trouble and will get picked off. I don't see any way to get out of this, but Timbersaw was taken as well, so it's a pretty good exchange overall. Though it looks like Beastmaster and Timbersaw were worth about the same amount of golden experience, considering they're both level 11. We might finally have a short break in the action, as Not Late Game is grouped up as 4 to push this middle turret, and without the initiation power of Beastmaster, Gamerzone does not have a good way to get into these fights. Rubic will pick up the shield, exactly what you want in this game. Either the shield or the roar, both of those incredible abilities for Rubic to pick up. And that is Viper picking up the first tower for Not Late. And this Weaver is going to continue the split push down bottom. Viper has eclipsed him in terms of gold. And Timbersaw with his Blade Mail will be an excellent distraction, and should be able to apply a lot of damage to this Weaver, as Weaver is getting closer and closer to that Lincoln Sphere. He's foregone boots so far, which is a good choice this game. He doesn't really need them. He's been split pushing most of the game, and when he has come into engagements, he has Sakuchi. They left him alone long enough that he really doesn't need the extra movement speed at this point. He doesn't need to really get around the map. So he should be just fine for the most part. Taking a look at our graphs, up and down, as the Radiant side has taken a small lead, up to about 2,000 experience. Gold is slightly in the Dire favor, but not enough to make any real difference in this fight. Fully expect to see Timbersaw pick up a cloak and into the pipe at some point. It'd be an excellent way to reduce that magic damage coming out from Lich, as we've seen Lich do some amazing things with Chain Frost. If he gets a good one off, he can really devastate an enemy team. The only downside is he's up against Storm Spirit, who's one of the best champions at just joining a Chain Frost. Big push here from Not Late as they rotate their entire team around. And it's going to be a gank right behind. They see the Lion coming in from the side, so they're not going to be caught out. Lion only level 6 at this point, pretty far behind, but should be able to find the Lich or Weaver. Weaver gets a good set of bugs off, but I don't think Weaver's going to get out of here. But a beautiful Chain Frost saves the day, and that is just a ridiculous sum of damage. Lion down, Viper down, Rubic down, and that's all you could really ask. Abaddon does have his ultimate popped, and likely going to die as well, but he does get a shield off before he dies, and that will be a big win for Not Late. Tinker not in the fight, but he does finish off Timbersaw 4 for 4 overall. Huge fight, and we'll have to check the graph to see who really won that in the end. But that Lich Chain Frost really turned the fight around. And if they didn't get a good Chain Frost at that point, there was no way Gamerzone was going to win that 4v5. It was a great fight by Not Late Game. They just took a little too much damage from the Chain Frost. Weaver was killed almost instantly. Lion did a great job of getting his ultimate off and getting CC, but you just can't let a Chain Frost go off that long and expect to win a team fight in quarters like that. Viper going to likely get his second deny of the game, as he's picked up 2 tower denies so far. Weaver without boots, unable to chase down the Viper. He has Sakuchi'd up. The question is, will he go for it? And it should be an easy kill as Tinker jumps in and does finish the kill, but they will take a bad trade for it as they pick up 2. Perfect execution. Rotating in, and I'm not sure they can be able to pick up Abaddon. Storm's out of mana. And a great turnaround for Not Late Game. Excellent use of the teleports in the back line and letting Storm Spirit just run up and jump on the enemy team. It's something you always have to be wary of when you're facing a highly mobile lineup of characters like Storm Spirit and Timbersaw. Timbersaw jumping in deep as he does get slowed down. Don't think there's any way they can really catch him, as Lich does have a double damage rune, but that shouldn't be of any real effect. So far, gold experience slightly heading towards the Dire's favor, but not significant in either account. 23 minutes into the game, Storm Spirit has completed his Orchid, working towards that BKB. Timbersaw picking up a Blade Mail, working towards a Pipe, and possibly some more mana regeneration and a Bloodstone if he decides to go that way. Lion with not a whole lot, as he's been playing the real hard support, letting Rubic get a bit of farm, picking up the Arcanes, Magic Wand, and a set of Bracers. Viper has picked up an Orchid himself, which is a great item this game. Going to be able to stop Weaver from Sakuching, Mech as well, which means huge amounts of survivability for his team. Weaver finished up the Lincoln Sphere, has Hand of Midas as well, and has gone very mid-game oriented with the Ring Aquila and the Wand. Likely to pick up a Butterfly or Desolator next. Desolator would be the item of choice, as Abaddon's working towards the Pipe, which would be an amazing pickup to stop the heavy magic damage coming out from not late game. Necronomicons are coming up for Beastmaster pretty soon, as Lich has finished up the mech. Expect to see an Aghanims up soon, and Lich will find the Lion, and he is in no man's land. He can't be that far out, even with a haste rune. And Lion was just picked off in the middle of nowhere. Tinker finally picking up his items, as he had a terrible start. He was only killed 6 times in the early game, and that really cost him. It set him back a lot, but he has recovered fairly well. He's actually second highest on CS as Beastmaster gets pulled in, silenced up. No way he gets out of this, except Storm Spirit with a little bit of a mistake. Just not jumping in properly and not calculating his mana, taking too many big jumps, and was taken out thanks to the roar. Really thought he'd be able to pick off the Beastmaster, but he just burned too much mana getting in there and not able to get the large number of small jumps you really need as a Storm Spirit. Weaver in a lot of trouble in his bottom lanes. He does get silenced up. He has finally picked up boots, and I love this decision. Just run right into that little cove. Bought a lot of time for the Orchid to run out, and he is able to run away. There's Abaddon with a shield and heal, making sure that he's just fine. Abaddon likely going to sacrifice himself or try and make a turnaround, as Lincoln Sphere comes up at the perfect time, saving Weaver from a huge burst of damage. Tower was killed during all of this, but there's the Chain Frost on to Viper, and Viper in a lot of trouble. Trading Abaddon for Viper, a very good trade overall. And Rubic in a lot of trouble as the Swarm comes out. He's going to be able to Sakuchi away, though. Overall, a pretty big win by not late game. They managed to take down the Abaddon and pick up the top tower. So that's a pretty good win. You definitely want that map vision and force someone to come up into that top lane. Though it's not going to be too bad, as Tinker is the master of split push. Same thing with Weaver. Both of them are amazing split push characters. Storm Spirit going to come up, gets to pull in onto Tinker. The question is, will Tinker be able to get out? And I don't think so, as he has no real tools to get out. Storm Spirit has run out of mana, though, miscalculating on those jumps, and finally gets out of there. Weaver not able to get in that back soon enough. Very risky play by the Storm Spirit, but it pays off, picking up the Tinker for free. Big weakness here of the not late games team comp is the lack of a true hard carry. And with the Lich's Frost Armor, Weaver's already over 20 armor, and with that attack and movement speed slow, it's going to be very hard to actually kill him once these team fights break out. You have Viper who gets slowed very heavily from that, same with Storm Spirit until he picks up his BKB, but both Viper and Storm Spirit should be picking up BKBs fairly soon, unless Viper wants to pick up that Aghanims, though I'm not sure how effective it'll be, considering there's only one character that really needs to be hit with that Viper Strike, as this is a pretty single core lineup coming out from Gamerzone on the Radiant side. Big TP reactions down bottom, as Timbersaw gets hit with a rocket, same with Rubic, but no real engagement. As Viper was slowed down, everyone's going to be rotating in. Big damage everywhere as Weaver trying to pick up Rubic, but no real chance to do a whole lot of damage. Beastmaster not even going to get the roar off as he gets chunked down in the bottom lane. Weaver taking a lot of damage, but it's still okay. Abaddon had the ultimate popped, but he does get his shield off. Rubic stole the shield in the process, and it's really going to make use of it. Chain Frost flies again and does a ton of damage, and basically seals Viper's fate and Rubik's. And that's been the turnaround mechanic for Gamerzone. Weaver in a lot of trouble, able to rotate up and should be able to find this kill on the Lion. 3 for 3 so far, but Weaver going to go down in the process. Huge win for Not Late Game, as they managed to pick off an extra kill. And this Storm Spirit really doing work this game. He is sitting at 6-3 and 14, part of almost all of his team's kills. And he's done just an amazing job of fighting and running around these fights. He's played it over aggressive a little bit, and has paid for it a few times. But overall, it's definitely worth it. You're going to have to make some mistakes like that to get the big kills like he's done throughout most of the game. Right now, Weaver is the top of the net worth, but so far he's not been a huge factor in these fights. He's managed to pick off a lot of the backline characters. But if you're not killing Timbersaw and Storm Spirit throughout these engagements, you really aren't getting a whole lot. As Storm Spirit has now finished up his BKB, and he's in excellent position to just dominate this map. He's really come out on these last few fights, being able to find these pickoffs at the end and really secure himself some much needed gold. He is second highest on the map, right alongside Timbersaw and Viper, who are right behind him. And this is exactly what you want to see out of your Storm Spirit. He's going to fall off as time goes later and later, but you're extending the mid game and making sure that your team has the best opportunity to win on a very mid game centric lineup. Force Staff soon to be completed by the Lion. Unless he wants to go Agadams, I really think a Force Staff would be a great choice here. Pick that up or blink, jump in the middle of a fight, let Weaver get stunned up so that you can actually engage on him, Storm Spirit with a big jump, and that should be a very dead Tinker. No way he gets out of this, though he does have a haste rune, but he should pop, and no he does not, just not enough damage. And first BKB charge of the game used by Storm Spirit. And Storm Spirit in very poor shape, burning all his cooldowns and mana to try and get that kill. But all thanks to that haste room, he did get out, and the ultimate orb, providing him just enough health, which looks to be a Scythe the Vice coming up fairly soon on the Tinker, who has recovered incredibly well after a poor start. Beastmaster doing very well as well, almost level 16. An excellent job just securing the off lane, picking up a lot of experience. Didn't do as well as Timbersaw, but Beastmaster isn't meant to be as strong as Timbersaw, as he has a bunch more CC and a lot more team utility, while Timbersaw brings the damage. And it's really shown in the last few fights as he's just bursted down supports and made sure these fights are heavily in Not Late Game's favor. And the only real turnaround in the last few fights have been a really good Chain Frost on this Lich, who should be going for that Aghanim Scepter fairly soon. Timbersaw has now finished up the pipe, so that Chain Frost is not going to do nearly as much damage. He's going Necronomicon as well, giving him some extra health and mana. Could be a Roshan attempt here from Not Late Game, as they have rotated everyone onto this bottom half of the map. There's decent vision here, but these are very expected wards, and Lions should be able to deward them. And there we go, as the deward battles begin. Timbersaw fairly far out, but not a lot of CC on Gamer Zone at this point. They really need those hexes to come up. And with that, they are going to go for a gank. Storm Spirit has popped the invisibility rune, and they will be able to find Weaver. He has the Lincoln Sphere on him, which is exactly what you want to do if your Weaver constantly keeps spamming it on you. And Timbersaw takes a ton of damage from that Weaver. He pops the pipe, as Weaver is forced to time lapse. Beastmaster in a lot of trouble, does not get the roar off, as Lich is in a lot of trouble and will get bursted down. 2 dead on the side of Gamer Zone. They lose a lot of health on their Timbersaw, but whoop-de-doo on that, as Timbersaw can just run back to base and go stop the split push threat from the Tinker. With that, the game is back to virtually even, as both sides are very close in gold, and 5,000 experience at this point in the game means next to nothing. You really want to see a bigger lead if you're on Not Late Game, as their lineup just kind of falls off the later and later it goes. Viper is going to be 16 and picking up that BKB, and that is going to be his time to shine, as Not Late Game has really dominated this middle portion of the game and really have the upper hand at this point. They've kept Weaver in check. He's picked up a Desolator, but Desolator is not going to be enough. He needs a next level item, as he's going to be in a lot of trouble, but does have the Lincoln Sphere actually used on him. If you use the Lincoln Sphere on cooldown on yourself, it does have an effective lower cooldown, as the cooldown starts when you cast it, not when you actually receive the damage or spell that breaks it. Because like right now, if he gets hit, it's going to start the cooldown. If he casts it on himself, cooldown's already started. So you'll have it up more often in fights if you use it before you actually get hit, so you constantly have it on yourself. Just a little micromanaging tip for those that actually play Weaver or other Lincoln's carriers. It's just a really interesting to do. It's painful, as it requires a lot of management of the Lincoln Sphere, but it's definitely worth it, as Weaver will get the scout out on the not late game side. They are going to rush in there for Baron, and it should be pretty easy unless we see someone contest. Timbersaw on the other side of the map. He has a teleport scroll, so he should be able to hear, but they really underestimate how fast that goes down as Weaver picks that up. And there was no fight for it. They had to have known they were going for it. They have all these wards throughout the jungle on the side of not late game. They saw them run into the pit with this ward. And I guess they underestimated the damage of Weaver. And that's really unfortunate, as that's a huge comeback mechanic from Game Zone. And with Weaver with the Aegis, he is going to be in amazing shape going forward. He is the hardest carry in the game. He has the Midas, smoke popped here by the Radiant side. They're going to bypass one ward as they look to go and find someone in this jungle. The only one in the area is Viper, and not exactly who you want to go on. They will spot him out. They will spot Lion out as well, as he takes a lot of damage from the Swarm. Chain Frost goes out and does get a few good bounces, as it's going to bounce between the minions and Rubic. And Rubic takes a lot of damage, but the big fight begins up top. Weaver taking a lot of damage, but has the Aegis and is saving it for later. The Storm Spirit's almost out of mana, but burn the BKB. BKB going to be off on Viper very soon as well, as the rockets fly from Timbersaw, and they're fighting in a big march of machines. Beastmaster goes down. And so far, a big win for the Dire side. Weaver going to have to run away, as Abaddon just kind of runs up and throws himself in the fight, trying to get the kill on Viper. Good trade overall, as Weaver does have his time lapse, but does not pop it in time. 4 for 3, as Storm Spirit dominates yet another fight. And Rubic definitely helped out with his spells and soaking of that initial Chain Frost. The Chain Frost was pretty good. Rubic does buy back and jumps right on onto Rubic, but misses. And it was a really interesting idea to try and buy back and get that kill, but it just did not pan out. Tinker going to go back to his pushing, as he's going to be able to get this bottom tower. So overall, an even trade, except not, as Storm Spirit, showing why Storm Spirit's one of the most popular champions at the moment. Able to zip in, and he should be able to get a deny, as that tower is very low. And another tower denied. I believe that's 3 so far by not late game. They've denied 3 towers so far. Game Zone has not had any towers denied, I believe. They might have had one, but I don't exactly remember which towers were denied and killed. Love to be able to actually find out, or have like a little stat panel that says towers denied, but just kind of know well at the moment. Storm Spirit's really fallen off in terms of minions. Same with most of the Dire side, as they've really spread out their farm over the last few minutes and have gone for kill, 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 which has worked out for them. Just one of those statistics that's really misleading, as Tinker and Weaver are incredibly far ahead in minions, and Weaver and Storm Spirit are about even in farm, while the Dire has the next 2 out of 3, meaning this is definitely in their favor. They have a much stronger set of supports, as Abaddon and Lich are not that powerful, and they're, at this point, the stuns coming out from both Rubic and Lion, in addition to the Finger of Death, are much more powerful as this goes later and later. Chain Frost is still going to be incredibly powerful if it hits, but it's one of those ultimates that's really feast or famine. If it goes and gets some great bounces like we've seen in the fights earlier, it could really change the game around. But if it goes on Storm Spirit and he just zips away and dodges it, it's incredibly bad. Weaver in a lot of trouble, as he does not get the Sakuchi off, takes a lot of damage, and is just destroyed. No chance to get away from that. And that's just being very greedy. 2 Sentry Wards were dropped to ensure the kill. Don't blame him. That's a high value target. Waste as many resources as you need to killing it. A Storm Spirit has jumped into this mid lane. He's burned all his mana. Hawk does spot him out, but Tinkerer very low. Pipe is popped. Chain Frost does some good damage, but not enough as the roar goes out onto Timbersaw. He's going to have his mana burned away thanks to minions, but Lich goes down 3 for 0, and it's going to be a minion war in which Viper definitely wins, as there were several sets of Necronomicon minions on both sides, Rubic having picked one set up. Viper going for the Aghanim Scepter next. He's already very tanky and has good damage. I love the pickup of the Orchid, stopping a character like Weaver or Tinker from being effective in a fight. And that's exactly what you want to be if you're Viper. Surprise more teams don't pick up something like the Orchid on Viper. It gives him attack speed, it gives him extra mana regen. And unless you have multiple carries that are all attack speed based, the ultimate isn't incredibly useful, as it doesn't do an amazing amount of damage. It does good, the slow's nice, but the silence is definitely much more valuable. Game is 29-37, is not late game. Are trying to end this before it gets super late. They have a pretty good lead overall. They're up 2,000 gold, almost 7,000 experiences. It's been back and forth the entire game. Neither team ever getting a big lead. Gold has not gotten over the 3,000 mark on either side, which is a sign that these two teams are playing incredibly well against each other. Though overall, not late game is in a huge advantage. The only downside to their team is they don't have a great way to keep Tinker in check as this gets later and later. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he picks up an Orchid, or not an Orchid, but Lincoln Sphere, to block the Orchid or the pull-in from Storm Spirit, so he can split push significantly better and not get picked off as soon as Storm Spirit jumped in. As Storm Spirit's almost about to pick up Sec, he jumps in on the Abaddon, pulls in the Lich, and both of them are in a lot of trouble, but Pipe is popped. Gonna split up slightly. And Lich does get his ultimate off before he dies. Hex on the Timbersaw, and Timbersaw takes a ton of damage. Likely to go down in just a moment as that Lich ultimate bounces and does an amazing amount of damage. Storm Spirit goes down. So was Timbersaw, and that really turned around thanks to that Lich ultimate. It's a Feast or Famine ultimate, as I said a moment ago, but that ultimate really dominated there. Viper not going to be able to run away thanks to all those slows. Good minion block, keeps him in check, but I don't think he's going to be able to die here as Tinkerer comes in late. Huge win, as you can't ask for a better fight. You lose your Beastmaster, he did his job. He's taken the most important champions on not late game away. And they burned so many cooldowns. Rubic actually killed... Where did Weaver die? It looks like he killed the minion and died off. So Weaver playing a little greedy, trying to get that extra gold. And it does not pay off as he sacrificed his own life. Just a really odd event, as you don't expect Weaver to just randomly die to a Rubic that's been dead for a significant amount of time. And you just have to watch those Necro books, because if you don't pay attention to your health very closely or realize what rank it is, and these are the big rank 3 Necro minions, you will get yourself killed like that. And we were found out the hard way what happens when you don't pay attention to how much damage or what level those Necro books are. Score is back in the Radiant favor, just slightly in terms of gold. Experience almost dead even after 42 minutes. Neither team able to get a whole lot going. Both sides have done a good job of fighting, but that hasn't translated into towers. 43 minutes, and we still have most of the outer towers alive. There are 5 between the two teams, 2 on the Dire side, 3 on the Radiant still alive, and those that are alive are in pretty good shape, as none of them have been affected significantly. Roshan should be coming up in just a few moments, as it is set to respawn at any point now, and I expect the Dire team to just run in there as soon as possible. Tinker picking up the Dagon, Aghanim's up for Viper, and Boots of Travel on the Weaver, exactly what he needs, as he's going to be picking up that Daedalus fairly soon. Lion is incredibly poor, not even finishing up the 4-staff or upgrading his boots just yet, but I think that's just fine, as he really doesn't need a whole lot. Timbersaw going to go and try and keep Weaver from split pushing, but that's a tall ask, as Weaver is one of the most powerful split pushers in the entire game. And it looks like Rubic might be caught out, and he is picked off just way too far. You can't go that deep in the enemy's jungle at this point in the game, especially when they're all off the map. You did get some good wards down before he died, but I definitely don't think that's worth the life of the Rubic. He's down for 50 seconds. Roshan coming back up very, very soon. And if the Radiant side catches wind of exactly when Roshan respawns, they might be able to get in there and have a 4v5 in their favor, as Rubic won't be up anytime soon. That second level Dagon picked up by the Tinkerer means massive damage coming out from him, and I fully expect Tinkerer to actually join these fights, as he has the Scythe of Ice, he has the Dagon, and he's got an incredible mana pool overall. He should be able to just crush someone in these fights. Excellent pickup by the Beastmaster, picking up that BKB, can prevent most of the damage coming out from not late game, as this not late game team has not let this game go, or have not won this game already, and it is going to be late, as it is across the 45-minute mark, and their team comp is really running out of steam. The magic immunity coming out on Beastmaster. It wouldn't surprise me if Weaver or Tinkerer picked up magic immunity in the near future, just to prevent all that damage. And it looks like that's what Lich is doing, picking up the BKB, not going for the Aghanims to pick up extra damage. BKB definitely a good choice, which will allow him to survive, cast a few more spells, and make sure that his Frost Armor stays up on his allies. As once the magical burst from not late game goes away, they're really in bad shape, as they don't have a late game physical damage carry, as Viper's got pretty much all magic. Storm Spirit does a significant portion of magic damage. Roshan started off, and it's going down incredibly fast. Will not late game get there in time? It looks like they won't. Weaver gonna be able to snag the Aegis as he picks it up. Beastmaster kills off the Timbersaw, and that Chain Frost is devastating around the Roshan pit, and that is a huge win for Game Zone, as they dominate that fight. Weaver finally able to pick up a bunch of kills, and he does time lapse right into a Necro minion, so he takes a lot of damage, but with the Aegis it does not matter. Big win, and not late game, just unable to calculate how much damage Weaver does to Roshan. That's twice now. They've gone in and have not been able to contest the Roshan thanks to the Weaver's Desolator and the massive damage coming out from Game Zone. It's been an interesting game as kills are almost tied up. Weaver going to be split pushing the top lane and about to finish up the Daedalus. Can't really pick it up at this point, as he needs to save for buyback so he can buy back and time lapse into the fight, as you really need that extra body in a game like this. So many ways to keep him locked down. Storm Spirit going to come up, try and jump on Weaver, and Weaver's going to lose the Aegis, no question about it. But the question is, will they be able to kill Storm Spirit? And it looks like no. Surprised Weaver traded the Aegis away so easily, but not a terrible decision to pick up a tier 2 top. And he is just getting close to that Daedalus. He really needs to pick that up, and he'll be the late game force he needs to be, as there has not been a lot of damage coming out of these last few fights from not late game, as magic immunity and the pipe have been incredibly powerful. The Necro minions just don't do enough, as we see another set coming out. Beastmaster All Trouble does get the roar, but there's the Tinkerer showing off the Dagon. But he will go down as Storm Spirit uses BKB. Timbersaw picks up the Beastmaster in the back end, And I'd make that trade all day long. As Beastmaster and Tinkerer for just a lion, yes please. Rubic has picked up the smoke as Lich finishes off that BKB. Fully expect to see a smoke very soon from not late game. Try and rotate around, go through the forest, and possibly find Weaver sitting in there, as Weaver's been farming the jungle for a good bit of time. And it's an excellent spot to find pickoffs. They have a team that can do it. Storm Spirit zip into the Hex and pull. You're just not getting out of that alive unless you're just really outplay him or you have a lot of support. And Game Zone has been using the buddy system for a while now, making sure that at least 2 people are in every spot so that you don't get instantly picked off. It really dissuades Storm Spirit from jumping in, even though he does jump in on the Lich as soon as Abaddon leaves. And the Lich will likely go down. He does pop his BKB, but that's just a wasted charge, as Abaddon's Necrominions will be spawned and taken out very quickly for some free gold on the not late game side of things. With Lich down, this is the opportunity to push. The Chain Frost has been instrumental when Game Zone has won fights. But this is going to be without the Lich. He does not have buyback. He's incredibly short of gold at this point. But that's the big downside to not late game's lineup. They have to run through March Machines and the Beastmaster axes. And you just can't really push into that without a strong carry that walks in there and says, I'm going to burn this tower down with a massive amount of physical damage. Their highest physical damage carry is Viper, it looks like. Possibly Storm Spirit. But neither one of those are that amazing in terms of damage, and he has picked up the Demon Edge. Expected to be an MKB this game, as Weaver has sidetracked, and instead of picking up the Daedalus, gone full Butterfly, which is going to be perfect this game, as there's no amount of physical damage that not late game can do that will really harm him through the Lincoln Sphere and the Butterfly. Storm Spirit picking up the Dagon, wanting to burst someone down and really dominate this Weaver. If they can get Weaver down, they have a chance. But it's not been easy in the last few fights. He's just been almost impossible to kill. They're going to continue to rotate around. I love this path choice, as Tinkerer has been known to farm the Ancients fairly well. They will be able to see Beastmaster walks up, and a very dead Beastmaster. Don't think he can get out of that, and an easy kill. Exactly what you need. Beastmaster does not have buyback. This is when you have to start pushing if you're on the side of not late game. They really have to get a push going at this point. They're just running out of time. The Weaver is incredibly big. He'll be 6-slotted soon. And they just are getting weaker and weaker as time goes on, despite picking up more items, as they don't have the physical damage to deal with Game Zone for very much longer. The magic damage is running out of time. BKBs are starting to come up everywhere, and it wouldn't surprise me if Weaver picks up a BKB next, just to make sure that he doesn't die in these fights, as he has enough damage. First tier 2 taken by not late game, as they really need to try and push for some more. They've already lost their top and bottom towers in the tier 2 region. And Lion getting closer and closer to that level 16. The extra damage from the Finger of Death, incredibly important if you want to be able to burst down Weaver before he gets that time lapse off. So they really need to prioritize getting him to level 16, making sure that you can just jump in on Weaver and really rip him apart. This would be the opportunity, but no, Weaver decides not to teleport up top. Good decision, just a little too risky to go all the way up top without any help, especially when Tinkerer is down bottom. As the second Tinkerer is seen down bottom, they might just jump you up top because they know they're going to be in an advantageous fight. As Tinkerer, not the best hero at moving around after he unloads those few marksman machines. He runs out of mana so incredibly quickly that he really can't just boots of travel, throw down a few Martian machines, then boots of travel to a fight. He has to go back to base. Weaver has now decided to rotate up top. He has finished off the Daedalus and is in a pretty good spot if Storm Spirit doesn't jump him. Don't think Storm Spirit can win this one-on-one engagement. Though he is going to have help. Viper is going to be rotating in. And he uses the Dagon to pop the Lincolns. Perfectly played. And that is going to be a very dead Weaver. And now you have to push. Though Lich does find Lion down here. As Rubic will go down as well thanks to a beautiful Chain Frost. And that hurts. You don't have your two supports. You've taken out their Weaver. And they have the Necro army going. They've got two sets up. Timbersaw can run in. He is hexed up. Taking a lot of damage. The Storm Spirit jumps in. Does some good damage. But none of these targets are particularly soft. As BKBs and pipes popped everywhere. Tinker in a lot of trouble. And is taken out thanks to the Dagon. Abaddon in a lot of trouble as his ultimate gets popped up. Beastmaster just running away. And that's a big set of kills. And this has got to be the big push for not late game. They got to take down towers here. With Weaver, Tinker on the sideline, same thing with Lich. This is your only opportunity to push. Roshan's still not up for a little bit of time, but you got to go here. If you don't go now, when are you going to be able to push a tier 3 tower? As they don't have many options for pushing tier 3 towers later outside of just finding more pickoffs. And those are rare. That was just a really big mistake by GameZone, getting cocky in the middle lane. They burned their big cooldowns. They burned Chain Frost. They burned the Roar. And they just didn't have those cooldowns that they needed to win a fight when Storm Spirit and Viper have cooldowns that are virtually non-existent. GameZone's still in this. They've been up really heavily in terms of gold. Since the 40-minute mark, they've just been going up and up and up. As not late game is not farmed particularly well overall. Experience, same thing. They won one or two good fights and just been split pushing significantly better. But that means virtually nothing at this point in the game. Gold and experience are pretty much thrown out the window. It all comes down to a good initiation. And if you get a good initiation, you can pretty much win the fight and win the game. Storm Spirit can make a big jump on the Beastmaster. He should be able to pop BKB, but he does not as he gets stunned right away. And that's Beastmaster going down despite having a haste rune. And this has you gotta go for this, not late game. You can't let this go much later. As they do have Roshan if they want to pursue it. Though they are going to start pushing down the middle lane. Timbersaw leading the way. He's got his BKB up. He's got a pipe. And the full accompaniment of Necro Minions. Along with at least two other sets. As the Lion pops his. And the Rubic should be able to pop his in just a few moments. Tinker going to be laying down cover fire with that March Machine and rockets. Just really harassing out the Viper. Making sure that he's not at full health and that these minion wave just gets destroyed. Necro Minions popped by Abaddon. As the fortification is popped, Storm going to jump in the side. Pulls in Tinker. But this is not the correct decision as he does not get the BKB off. And he just gets zapped. BKB popped by the Viper as Lich takes a lot of damage. Gets the Chain Frost off for some decent damage, but not enough as Weaver comes in, takes a whole lot of damage. And will get bursted down. He does not have buyback. He's short on it. But Tinker are really carrying with that Dagon. Doing a ton of damage. And this will not be a successful push. As the Timbersaw still in a lot of trouble. If Storm Spirit had gotten his BKB off before we got hexed, he would have been able to win that fight. Just the fact he got killed so easily. It's only a 4-second BKB. But stopping one or two abilities on you, being able to jump out. And he would have been able to possibly win that engagement. But losing your Storm Spirit, one of your most far champions that early, just is painful. And despite it being a 4v5, GameZone come out not really ahead, but they come out better of it, considering the situation. They actually do gain a slight amount of experience in gold overall, but experience graphs starting to mean virtually nothing, as pretty much everyone is level 25 or 20 plus, so you're just in the realm of adding a few points into stats, with the exception of Lion. Poor Lion. About to hit level 16 right now, no items on him, and that's the hard part about being a 5 support. You just don't get what you need to. And I'm really surprised they put Lion as the 5 instead of Rubic, as Rubic doesn't get a whole lot better from items and experience, while Lion does. Timbersaw might get caught out as he jumps to the trees, but I don't think there's enough CC to really keep him down, though Tinkerer does do some good damage to him. So is going to jump in, and that's a very dead Tinkerer, though they might be trading Tinkerer's life for Roshan. And they will, as this is the Age of the Immortal denied by Storm Spirit. Perfectly done, as that means we're going to see Beastmaster getting hit with his own roar, but it is not enough. There's just not enough damage coming out on the side of not late game. Weaver did get the cheese, he did not get the Aegis. Storm did not get the Aegis as well. He did get the deny, but there's just not enough damage, as Tinkerer bought back and demolished everyone with a level 5 Dagon. He spanned that out so fast, and there's just not enough damage. Not late game. Took it late, and it did not pay off. Their lineup ran out of steam. I don't see any way they can make a comeback at this point. Outside of maybe a Rapier on Viper. He's got the MKB already, so Rapier's about the only option. They had some excellent opportunities on not late game, but without any buybacks. That's still 50 seconds on Storm, 60 on Timbersaw, and I think this is GG. Excellent game between the two. And overall, it was really close, but you just can't take a game that late against a Weaver and Tinkerer. Nothing more than that. They played it very well, just not being able to push those last set of inner towers. Very well played from both teams. We'll take a quick look at the gold graph and experience. They had it at about 40 minutes where they had a significant gold and experience lead on the Dire side. Just could not translate it into towers. And no matter how many kills you get, towers and structures are the only thing that truly matters in Dota, as Game Zone will be not late game here, despite a very well played Storm Spirit and Timbersaw. Incredible game, and that's the power of having a physical damage carry late. That's all that really mattered in the end, as Weaver truly carried, being one of the best farm characters in the game, and just dominated towards the end. Thank you for watching this game cast by Pander.